Six-time Grand Slam winner Novak Djokovic claimed his fourth Miami Masters crown with a dominating straight sets win over world number one Rafael Nadal on Sunday. Second seed Djokovic cruised to a 6-3, 6-3 win in the men's final of the combined ATP and WTA Tour hardcourt tournament. Djokovic, who benefited from two walkovers, didn't drop a set, winning his third Miami title in 4 years and fourth in total to add to triumphs in 2007, 2011 and 2012. Djokovic clinched the victory on his first championship point, capping a long rally with a clever volley that landed in the open court at the Crandon Park Tennis Center. The 26-year-old Serbian had a relatively easy time beating Nadal. His serve was bigger and his defense stronger as he came in with a perfect game plan to collect the 572,000 euros winner's check. He blasted 5 aces, won 30 of 35 points on his first serve, and had no double faults in the 83rd minute contest. Djokovic captured his second straight Masters title, having won 2 weeks ago in the California desert at Indian Wells. He has fond memories of playing in the US and especially on the hard courts in Florida. The match started evenly until Djokovic broke Nadal in the first set to go up 3-2. He took the set when Nadal failed to return a serve. Djokovic broke to open the second set, then broke the Spaniard again in the final game of the match.
Well, absolutely. I'm overwhelmed with the performance today. I mean, it's incredible the way I played from the first to the last point. In the first 4 or 5 games, we're quite even. Saved the break point in the first game and never faced a break point after that. I mean, I served great. It allowed me to have a lot of free points on that first serve, which is always helpful and needed when you play Nadal, who is one of the best returners in the game, and he always makes you play an extra shot. So, you know, I stepped in, I used every opportunity that was presented, and I'm very satisfied with the game.
One was not that difficult in general. He was better than me in everything, so just congratulate him. That's it. I'm gonna keep working hard to try to be ready at higher level for the next time.
Welcome back. You're still watching Sprint, and I'm still joined with Kennedy Makambira. He's the editor and also the media officer for CAF. Once again, I'd like to thank you very much for joining us.
You're welcome.
So before we jump to the World Cup and the African Cups, I'd like to take your opinion also about this match. I know that you're also a follower for tennis. So this match with where Novak Djokovic, the Serbian player, managed to snatch the fourth title for the Miami Masters, winning Rafael Nadal, the world number one. And he was stating that he is saying that Novak Djokovic was playing much better than him in this match and he deserved to win.
It's so humbling of Nadal, you know, true champion that he is, to admit on the day that, look, the better player won. That's the beauty of tennis at times. I enjoy that because,
spirit.
Yeah, you can go away and work on your game, and on that day when you're on fire, you're on fire. And then if the other player is better than you, you just put your hand up and say, hey, it was his day. And I like that rivalry, you know, the top four, Nadal,
Not
Djokovic.
like football, you know, you always blame the referees for that.
Yeah,
So
I think there's a little bit of fit
yes.
nowadays, and
Yes.
Same thing as well. The players are trying to con the referee. I mean, we see a lot of that. I mean, it's not maybe not our place to talk about it, but it happens in football.
Yes, exactly.
They whinge about the referee, but none of them actually say, hey, I got a penalty unfairly from the referee. So yeah, tennis is a little bit
I think it's
cleaner.
different. Yeah, I hope the spirit of tennis was passed somewhere or another to football.
Yeah.
Because we find a lot of issues today with football, and I think you've been following what's happening in Egypt. You came, you're staying in Egypt for the past 3 years, so you definitely followed Egypt at a very hard time, where this is a very special topic. You know, aggression, violence, and pitch invasion. Those stuff, you know, has caused the country a lot of trouble. And some of the football fans are no more as strong fans as they would have been, you know, given the fact that a lot of people lost their lives in situations like that, and it's not the type of game with full spirit.
Well, I would say, I mean, I'm not qualified per se to say, you know, the ins and out of it, but from what I've seen in my time here in Egypt, firstly, the Egyptians are passionate about football. I mean, you go anywhere, you see kids play football, so which is great, which is fantastic. You got good clubs in here. The culture of clubs where you can go and learn not only football, quite a number of sports. It's something that should be highly recommended, and the country should keep that going, and just produce many good sports persons, men and women, for the country. But if there's anything I could say at this stage, with experience from other parts of the world, and you know where I've been and where I come from in Zimbabwe, like everything else in life, it's through education. The perpetrators of any unfair or unjust acts within the stands or on the pitch, as like most cases has been in the stands, where they feel they have to vent out their anger, it comes through education. Now, education from the Football Association, from the clubs themselves, and from the players, because here, players are hero worshipped. You know, we've got big names, players who can, I've seen it in Egypt, yes, who can go to the stands and tell the people not this anymore, and they listen to them. I've seen it with my own eyes in Egypt. So maybe it's just a suggestion, because again, I'm not a guru in this, but I know and I believe that the more you interact with the people and say, look, yes, we have a right to get angry, but the anger should not lead us into destroying our own stadiums or the property or anything. Yes, we have a right to be angry.
It affects the clubs itself at the end of the day.
Yes, because there's too many fines, empty stadiums and things like that. We've got to find a way to vent out things that we not always necessarily agree with. And I'm sure you can use the players who they come to the stadium to watch anyway to pass on this message and educate the fans in how to behave at our stadiums.
Yes. I think CAF is one of the most successful federations, if not the most, when it comes to the perspective of producing those, you know, professional players to be playing abroad, and especially Europe. You find a lot of African players playing in Europe. And despite the fact that there's a lot of successful African players that are dominating many top clubs, yet the African teams are not getting the right, you know, or equal portion of representing in the World Cup. How are you seeing this situation? You know, how are you seeing that African teams are only 5 teams within the 32 clubs, 32 teams within the World Cup?
It's been mentioned a lot. It's a topic that you hear a lot about in football circles. And I'm sure we all on the continent of Africa, from Cape to Cairo, would love to see more representation in the World Cup. But I think when we put things into perspective, firstly, we should recognize that under the presidency of you know, President Issa Hayatou, you know, we've got to 5 teams. And it was not long ago, in '94, when we had 3. So there's been a gradual, improvement and progress, as you put it, Sharif. And we now have to deliver as well on the field. The results is what prompts everybody and what necessitates us getting more places. You know, it's no good just asking for places when you don't deliver on the pitch. So this World Cup...
So you're meaning like if Ghana, for example, wins the World Cup, and maybe people are looking for, because they are, you know, the black horse. Do you think things might change?
Oh, certainly. I mean, look, if an African team wins the World Cup, well, people will have to sit and look and say, hey, hang on, what's happened here? In all the adulation and the celebration, it gives us more reason to call for more places. The reason why Europe and South America have got more places, if you remember, as we said, way back in 1930 when they started the World Cup, no, they were the guys who were on the table. So they had more teams and they've played better.
Yes.
Okay, nowadays we get our African teams winning. You know, Algeria, we'll get to the teams just now. The first African team to win two matches at a World Cup in 1982. So that is progress. I remember growing up as a kid, when Algeria beat, 2-1 to beat West Germany then, I knew, I'm a geographer, I knew those African teams, the excitement and the happiness just to say, because I'd grown up watching football, European football, and thought they can never be beaten. For an African team to beat them, and then, the list is endless when you go on to, 1986, the Moroccans, getting in there with Tumumi and the rest, and then you get on to Nigeria, thereafter, Cameroon, 1990. So we've been progressing, showing good results. And the more the results improve, the more reason you have to call for more places in the World Cup. And I think so far the leadership in CAF, those who've been in charge of football, have done well to get us where we are. Of course, we can always have more places. We had 6 last time round because South Africa hosted that World Cup.
Hosted the World Cup.
Yeah, so maybe, if we
I think the CAF's president and CAF would be happy when they see good performance by African teams in the World Cup.
Yeah.
But again, it also relates to the way and mechanism that is laid down to qualify the teams for the World Cup. So you've seen a team like, for example, Egypt, with the scheme that was presented, they have 2 phases of qualification. They win 12 matches, 12 points in 6 matches, and then they lose for a match, and only one match, only one day, a bad day for the team gets them knocked out of the qualification for the World Cup. So if it's the case where it's what I think CAF is looking for to have